We have observable, comparable facts out there. Did Jenna Ortega go out and take a hot, steaming dump on the Addams family? Not that I remember. If Jenna Ortega had been Snow White and had just eliminated all the bull that Rachel Zegler had dumped into this film's zeitgeist a year and a half before it came out. Snow White right now is about $143 million in the box office. I think if it had been Jenna Ortega, this movie might be at $250 million right now. I truly believe.
Renegade Online.
Now, wait a minute, though, Tom. I got a question for you because you brought up something I hadn't thought about before. And so if we can hang tight on that point you made, Jenna Ortega, because there's been an effort in the media to spin this because Jenna Ortega's got a movie out there this weekend. And it's from A24. It was never intended to compete with Snow White, but it's getting beaten by Snow White for obvious reasons.
It's competing more with The Working Man than it is Snow White. Exactly.
Okay. Jenna Ortega has become a Netflix star, and I think that's one of the big reasons why the film is just not doing what it does.
But Crow's right. This unicorn movie is made for a niche of a niche audience compared to yeah.
But wait a minute. Here's the question. If Jenna Ortega was the star of Snow White, how much does it make? What's the differential there in the box office results?
A lot more because she wouldn't have been out there bashing the original.
Well,
so
that exactly.
200 million? 300 million?
Would we still have some of the Snow Brown jokes and shit like that? Potentially.
Maybe.
I say
love
that.
Jenna Ortega.
But Jenna Ortega's a hell of a lot more likable. Exactly. Like that's
bingo.
The problem.
That's just it. Let me put it this way. I'll give you the Valiant Renegade special on this one. If Disney had decided, which they clearly did, Disney had decided up front, no question, that Disney decided up front that Snow White was not going to be a white woman. All this bullshit about how Disney, they tested out 800 or 500 or 200, whatever the hell, I don't give a damn what they did. They brought in all these actresses and they said, oh, we went through hundreds and hundreds of girls. And
which
we
is bullshit when they say that. Yeah.
Exactly. And they landed on Rachel Zegler. Bullshit. Disney had long decided, way before this movie had been officially greenlit, and I guarantee you this, that Disney had made the decision that this actress was absolutely not going to be white. Why do we know this? It's because that Disney has been extolling the virtues of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion for at least the last 6 years. They have been going down this road on their financial reports, on their annual shareholder meetings. They have been talking about this. They have been talking about this with their Reimagine Tomorrow program, the Disney Employees DEI program that Christopher Rufo put out 2 to 3 years ago now. They talked about this with their Stories Matters group. This was always in the works. But if they had selected somebody like Jenna Ortega, we have observable, comparable facts out there. Did Jenna Ortega go out and take a hot, steaming dump on the Addams family and Wednesday Addams when that show came out on Netflix? Not that I remember. If they had put Jenna,
kind of a stalker. Gomez was kind of a stalker. Weird.
Yeah. If Jenna Ortega had been Snow White and had just eliminated all the bullshit that Rachel Zegler had dumped into this film's zeitgeist a year and a half before it came out. Snow White right now is about $143 million in the box office. I think if it had been Jenna Ortega, if Disney had pulled their DEI shit with Jenna Ortega, hey, this movie might be at $250 million right now instead of $143. I truly believe.
That's plausible. I don't even know if Jenna can sing, but
who cares, Tom? They auto-tune everything anyway.
I know, that's what I was trying to tell people. Everybody's like, oh, at least Rachel Zegler can sing. I'm like, I listen to the music. I hear the auto-tune and people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. Here's the difference. When people hear the term auto-tune, they think of Cher Believe auto-tune crap, right?
Emma Watson.
I'm talking about the
Emma Watson in Beauty and the Beast.
That was way more obvious, but if somebody can actually sing,
$1.6 billion for Beauty and the Beast with Emma Watson, who can't sing a note.
Yeah, and you can tell, and the auto-tune is obvious. But in a situation where with Rachel Zegler, where she can pretty much sing, they still used auto-tune on her. Like, I could tell, I can hear it.
Oh no, she was tuned a bit. Not as bad as some others, but she was tuned a bit.
This isn't even exclusive to movies or anything. Like, this is something I found out recently. They're auto-tuning singers in real time in concerts now. They're taking a lot of classic albums and auto-tuning the original artists and stuff. This is one of the most bastardizations that I could ever think of.
Yep.
The original members of Queen went back and they redid with auto-tune Freddie Mercury's vocals.
Well, he really wasn't a great vocalist. Let's just remember Freddie. Next,
I know, he sucked, right?
Next, do it to Ray Charles, because those guys, they needed some help. Hey, by the way, I don't know if you guys have talked about this, because I didn't get to listen to the first hour, but talking about this Jenna Ortega, Rachel Zegler difference, I got to say, Zegler's doing her darndest to play the role of Brie Larson, because this thing might not make Marvel's money, and that's a heck of an achievement.
I talked about that in my video today. We did all the comparisons.
This thing ain't going to clear 100 or 200 million by.
The Marvels cleared out at 199. I think that Snow White is still going to leg better than the Marvels, but not by much. And when I say not by much, I'm talking maybe 5 to 10 million.
You're being very generous.
Well, the reason I'm being generous, Tom, is because looking back, doing the calculations mathematically on these types of films, again, and you know this, is that these kind of kids' movies, the ones that engender the younger audiences with moms especially, they have a different set of legs than a Marvel flick.
You're going to find out in the next 14 days, because we got another major kids movie coming out, and spring break starts in the next 2-3 weeks. Dude, this movie's going to get run over by what's coming out next week or the week after?
Minecraft comes out.
Yeah, this movie's dead, dude.
Days or whatever,
this movie's
free.
Dead.
I think
even if Minecraft underperforms, which I think it's going to, it's still going to do better than what Snow White did, just out of pure. Because I actually saw a kid with a Minecraft T-shirt the other day. So I'm like, there's still kids who care. So
I said this today, and look, here's the quick breakdown on my math. So last weekend, Sunday, a week ago, when we did this show, Snow White had roughly $87 million in the till, $88 million in the till for its global opening. It has since, in the last 7 days, it has accelerated up to $143 million. So that's basically 60 to 70, about $70 million, give or take, because we don't have the final tally on it yet. But let's say it's about $60 million in the last week. So in the next week, so from Monday through Sunday next week, let's say that it adds 50% roughly again. Let's say that it adds somewhere around 30 million. That's going to take it from 143 to 173. You keep doing a leg out at like that. I think that $200 million is still on the table after about 1 month. A month from now. Which is awful, right? It's still awful. But I still think, that's why I said, I think it will still eventually beat the Marvels, but it ain't going to beat it by much. It's going to beat it by maybe a couple of $1 million. And we're getting into the Easter and spring break holidays, the heart of it, right? Easter isn't until 3 weeks from today. So it's still going to be lingering in theaters. It won't be in PLFs. It won't be in IMAX, but there's still going to be a little bit of bumps as we get in there, naturally, for any movie that's still lingering in theaters at that point. So I still think $200 million is on the table, which is still going to beat the Marvels, as pathetic as that is.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.